Hi, this is Shahvar. Following the class topic, we are going to give more examples. More and more examples are needed to clarify the subject. Another great example that helps you figure out the way you may not have known before, we write classes in which the information of any car, and it gives us those information and their outcome. When you go to different car selling websites, when you are about to enter the website, usually the car informations are asked from you as a customer. Or it asks you what you are looking for. It asks you the shop, the name. Such information will be saved as a class. And the outcome that you receive is based on the input that you give them. That is, it filters the information for you and gives you the information. We want to gradually enlarge the examples so that eventually we will reach such websites designing levels. Alright, first I write class car what this class does is it gives the car information in the outcome. Okay, we write its def of init, def init. I said before, init is used for adding the class parameters. Self is already written. It is part of the class and will be passed. We write it has a make, it has a model, and it has a production year. Make factory, and model is type of the car. For instance, the car Peugeot 206 ST model is going to be our car. Alright, self.make equals make. Self.make to be used inside a class, and make it a parameter which has been entered, and we give it. Alright, self.model equals model, and self.year equals year. Very well. Alright, that's for the class parameters. Now we write another function that shows the information in the outcome. What could it be? How could it be defined? We're going to show you. Alright, good. Def get description, des for description, self, we give it no parameter. Alright, as you see, nothing has happened yet. This function is responsible for printing the information in the outcome. Okay, alright, first we need to be connected or connect all the parameters that a user has entered together and make a whole for us to keep. So we say we have a long name. Long name equals str of self.year. Why str? Because year can be integer as integer, and because we need to mix it with a string, we need to turn it into a string. We turn it into a string plus a space plus self dot make, okay, plus a space plus self dot model, and I want to intentionally write this model, okay, as so that we can see later on why self is so important and how it is used in function. Return long name, we give it dot title to make it more beautiful. Alright, our class is written, and to print the outcome information we wrote it a function. I get an instance from class. Good, I write my new car equals car and I insert the parameters here, make the car factory, for instance, Audi, model, for instance, A4, and the production year 2016. We took an instance. Now I check how it works in the outcome so that I can print my information in the outcome. I use the def descriptive function. I write my new car, descriptive, this one, run my instance using this function. What does this function do? This one. That may be your question. I see my program in the outcome using that function. Python test.py, I get an error. It tells me the model is not defined. Name error. The error key, name error, isn't that the model? Why does it then tell me not defined? Because my class does not recognize anything as model. Simply it doesn't work that way. The model is outside the class, it is a parameter which the user is going to insert. My class recognizes this self.model. So when you want to make any changes on the input of the user, you must use self.model. That is why we say self.model is the same as the user's input. So this one is changed to self.model. Alright, let's check the program. Nothing will be printed. Of course it won't, because we have returned the information. Right now it has the information, it just hasn't printed them yet. It does not show up in the outcome, so we get a print so that we see the information. Print it. 2016 Audi. And now the order Audi A4 depends on the code that you have written here. That is, if you write self.make first, it will be printed at first. It doesn't. If it doesn't, cars what the user puts in, it works based on long name. Long name's order is like this: first year, make and model. That is working just like that. Very easy to perform. Alright, let's make our example a little bit more complex and bigger, of course. Well, in writing a class, you don't always have to do certain things. One of the things that you don't have to work with the parameters that the user inserts. You can have a parameter in your class and make it by yourself, whether the user inserts the information or not. I define self.kilometer. Okay. Reading equals 0. Kilometer reading of this car equals 0. Then I can define a function for it that reads the kilometers in a car, which is very important because it tells you how long a car has been used. So I write def kilometer, that is the name, self, and what does it return? What it does is it prints the information of the kilometer. That's it. That's what this W function is for. Print this car. This car has plus str self dot kilometer reading plus kilometer on it. So as you can see here, it reads this, and as it here, it tells you this car has this much kilometers on it. Good. Very well. Let's print it. We took an instance. Now we write. Let's see what is the kilometer on this. What is the kilometer on this car, which has been added here. That's why you see all the information on eBay that are for sale. Those information are added in a class and an instance has been taken from it. Okay, that's what you've been dealing with all the time. That instance is being shown to you. A class has been written and it is using them millions of times. You have two functions in this class. These two. This one is for parameters and you can get millions of instances from it and give it an outcome with different cars. Alright, print my new car. Okay. I really hate the VS Code system that gives some explanation like that. The one we have here. My new car dot read the kilometer. Read kilometer, no parameters. When it is self, it means it has no parameters. This car has 0 kilometers on it. And as default, we imagine the kilometer as 0 here. In function, we notice the default parameter. For instance, someone either entered or did not enter his middle name. But it didn't make any problems or give any errors. It is the same with it. If you don't enter it, it takes to be the 0. But someone may want to enter his kilometers. Someone who has a used car may do that. To do that, we need to write a function. Alright, let's see. A function that if the user entered the kilometer, it will print the entered kilometer. If not, it will has as the 0 as its default, and 0 will be the kilometer. We call the function update kilometer self, and this time we have a kilometer here. 1 parameter is given to it. It works very well with kilometer and it is used so that I write this function updates the kilometer. Alright. It tells me self dot kilometer reading, that is this one, equals kilometer. Okay, very well. If the kilometer update is used, it has priority over this one. Because the user has added something here, we have written self.kilometer written equals this parameter, because that one also exists. And the user has put in. Now, if the user wants to add his car's kilometer, it would turn out like this. We don't even need to print. I write my new car dot update kilometer, for instance 300. Update kilometer 300. Let's separate these. Okay. So that they don't make you confused. If you left them like that, they will certainly make you confused. Then let's see my new car dot update kilometer 300. Update it to 300. When this happens, self.kilometer reading would equal this. Okay, this parameter that we are entering here, let's see if it works. Yeah, it does. It tells me this car has 300 kilometers on it. Very good. We got the result and it added it here in the outcome. If it entered the kilometer, then fine. If not, the kilometer would be 0 as default. So it is an in and default parameter that we talked about in the functions. All right. Very good. In all of the examples that we give, we try to use the previous knowledge. We write, okay, let's say if the kilometer that the user adds bigger than default kilometer. The default kilometer equals the one the user puts in. Otherwise, or elif in programming language, we write kilometer can't be less. Let's write it. I write if kilometer that the user is adding here was a study of most of the wooden bowl. Okay, the ones that we added, kilometer reading, that is this one, if bigger or equal, equals kilometer. Okay, let's see. The default is no longer 0. It equals kilometer. Elif print what? Let's say print. Okay, you can't roll back on kilometer. Means you can't reduce the number that you have already entered. You can't take it back. Let's run the program. It is 0 by default. Okay, now here say it is 300. 300 is bigger than 0, so it should return 300. That's what is returning. Now if we say the kilometer default of a car was 400, what would happen? Let's see. It returns 400. It says you can roll back on kilometer. Kilometer is 400. Why you have entered 300 here? You have entered 300 here. But the kilometer is 400. You cannot roll the kilometer back. Alright, I wanted to write an if and else so that you know that classes are not that difficult, so that they are not impossible to understand. It was easy, wasn't it? But we need to cut the video right here. See you in the next session.